Hello everyone, in the last videos I showed you how I insulated the roof of my house, container with cellulose wadding, the walls with wood wool. And today I'm going to show you how I insulated the floor with polyurethane panels. I'll explain everything. Why I chose this insulation, the installation process, the cost and how long it took. In short, you'll know everything. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Julien and this is my house, Container. I'm 26 years old, have no knowledge of do-it-yourself, but I've taken on the crazy challenge of building an affordable and eco-friendly house. I'm also trying to develop my resilience and live in harmony with nature. I'm recording this and uploading it to my channel. Subscribe to follow the adventure. For the presentation of the equipment, I suggest we go layer by layer. We're going to start from the first layer on my container floor, and we're going to build up to our finished floor. So the first layer is a firm anti-creep veil with salt. I'm going to unroll this on the floor of my containers, which is made of wood. I'm going to staple it, and it will prevent moisture from rising into my insulation. Then the problem with my containers is that my floor is not very straight. It is bulging towards the inside. The wood is broken in many places. In short, if I put my polyurethane panels directly on it, it would not be very stable. So I'm going to do a screed, that is to say smooth the floor, so that it is perfectly straight and I can lay my panels on it. I'll use firm leveling granules with salt for that. It's basically recycled cellular concrete, crushed. It's small gravel, which I'm going to spread on. 1.5 centimeters high, and with a bag, I can make 1.5 centimeters high over about 3 square meters. This gives you an indication to order this material yourself afterwards. To spread my farm salt granules, I'm going to need 2 other elements. The first one is classic wooden litots of 15 mm or so, 1.5 centimeters thick and a 3-meter mason's rule. The idea is that I'm going to put these litots on both sides of my ground, place my granules in between, put my mason's rule, pull, and I will have a ground that will be 1.5 centimeters everywhere. This is absolutely not the official technique. Normally I should have used the salt firm rule that is provided by the manufacturer to apply the salt firm granules. The problem is that all the stores that sell these granules do not sell or rent the rule that goes with it. Let's just say that on the internet, the rule costs 1,500 euros. And it's almost impossible to find for rent around my place. So I had to adapt. It's not the official technique, but you'll see it works very, very well. And we continue with the insulation that I chose to use today, that is to say polyurethane panels. 60 centimeters in width, 120 centimeters in height, 10 centimeters in thickness for a thermal resistance of 4.65. The first reason why I chose this insulation is that I'm going to lay it directly on my floor. And then I'm going to put a parquet floor over it, and then I'm going to walk on it, place my furniture. So I needed an insulation that could bear loads, that we could walk on and all that. And this one is designed for that, so it's good. My only other solution would have been to create a wooden structure, fill it with insulation like wood wool, and close it with oriented strand board. Jan and Alicia did this in their container house, but it required significantly more work, materials, and budget. And to have the same thermal resistance as polyurethane, I would have had to put 20 centimeters of wood wool instead of the 10 centimeters of polyurethane. So I would have lost ceiling height. So there you have it, polyurethane. It's easier to install, it requires less materials, because you don't have a wooden structure. You don't need oriented strand board, so it's cheaper, it's easier to install, and moreover, it's rot proof. If you have water damage, polyurethane is unaffected. Whereas if you have wood wool, despite a rain screen, your insulation may be destroyed and you will have to replace it. So once again, I found that this solution was more suitable. But if polyurethane is so great, why didn't I put it all over my house? Firstly, this insulation has a significant disadvantage of providing very poor summer comfort due to its inadequate phase shift. It protects well from cold, but not heat. For me, this is not a problem on the ground, because where the sun hits the most is on the walls and on the roof. And there I don't have any polyurethane. Second big disadvantage is that and you're already writing it in the comments since the beginning of this video. However, as a synthetic insulator derived from the oil industry, it is the worst choice from an ecological perspective. It's a stain when you're trying to make an eco-friendly house. So you can find some used ones from Reform, but it remains an imperfect solution. And it's a bit of a stain in my house project, but I really haven't found any other solutions. If you have any ideas, don't hesitate to give them to me in the comments. Maybe there were other solutions, or maybe there aren't any. Let's discuss it. I'm curious to hear your opinion. Last material that I need for this construction site. It relates to the specifics of my container house. I have corrugated metal walls. My straight polyurethane panels come up against my corrugated sheet metal, leaving holes everywhere. I could have cut my polyurethane so that it fits perfectly into my corrugations. I tested this technique. It turned out to be not at all effective and not at all cost effective in terms of time and materials. It's eco graphite. It's blown polystyrene, graphited polystyrene beads. It's very effective, and so I'm going to put that in the corrugations. Where there is no polyurethane, there you go. Last object you're going to need once you've put all your polyurethane panels. Tongue and groove panels fit together well, but there's always a small gap between them. And there, BAM waterproof tape. You have some from the official Fermacell brand designed for this. You have some from Suprema, and that I couldn't find, so I found a super cheap one which works very well. And with that, we have all the objects and materials required for this construction site. So let's get started. I'm going to show you all of this. First step, I came to vacuum the floor of my containers to prevent any small pebbles from the soil from remaining. Things that would slip between my floor and my anti-creep veil. I unrolled my veil over the entire length of my container. I made sure to make it rise on the sides by a few centimeters. Above all, I overlapped multiple layers, including 2 veil layers, by at least 20 centimeters, so that there is a good junction. I then came to staple all this so that it is fixed. I screwed my litotes on the sides of the container. Why on the sides? Because in fact it's really curved towards the inside, but on the sides it's straight, so I have my litotes screwed on the sides. And there we see my mason's rule that is placed on my litotes. It is perfectly straight, as indicated by my bubble level, which I cleverly taped to my rule. And we can clearly see that the hole here is much larger than on the sides. As I was telling you, it's bulging. Once I place the leveling pellets behind, we'll have a perfectly straight floor. The bags weigh 20 kilograms, it's okay, it's quite light. I'm going to open this and I'm going to spread my gravel all over between my little stones. So here I calculated that I needed about 4 bags to do my 6 meters in length. I'm going to spread it roughly with the broom just to avoid any big piles. And there we have it, a little bit everywhere. As you can see, I've roughly spread the gravel here. I'm going to pull out my mason's rule. Why a mason's rule? Because it's very straight, so it will serve us well. I'm going to pull it towards me gradually, making sure that there's always gravel coming with me, that there are no holes. So the technique, what I do is that I create a small mountain along the rule, like this. When I pull this small mountain, it gradually fills all the holes. And there I see that there is a hole. I stop, I go back, I add a little gravel, and I continue. It's all clean and beautiful, but it's not an exact science. Small grooves or imperfections are not serious. When you install the panels, they will spread out and rebalance. The surface is now much straighter than before. Come on, we're going to lay the polyurethane panels now. To walk. Now I'm going to gently lay panels on the floor hop. And it's going to allow me to access just about everywhere. To lay my panels, I'm going to be able to install my first panel. I make sure that the groove and the tongue are in the right direction. I also check before installing it that on my lituts I no longer have any farm salt granules. Otherwise, it might crunch a bit under my insulation. Then I install the first plate. I try not to slide it so as not to move the farm salt granules too much. There you go. And it goes in like butter. There you go. And then I will continue. To cut the polyurethane is quite easy with a kitchen knife. It works very well with a hacksaw and even better with an electric jigsaw. There I put a 127mm blade on it because it needs to be able to come out and go back in. You'll see it cuts quite easily. Now that I've placed all my polyurethane, I'm going to fill in the waves of my walls with the eco graphite beads I found at Natural Materials. Be careful, normally this is a product that is supposed to be blown, so don't hesitate to compact it by hand so that it fits better. I will fill about 10 centimeters there. I have a thermal resistance that goes from 3 to 3.5, so it's a little less efficient than polyurethane, but it's still quite satisfactory. And the last step now is to put our waterproof tape on all the joints between the plates to reinforce the waterproofing of everything. There you go, I've installed all my polyurethane. Well, you see, it's quite quick, quite easy, and above all, very practical, since now I can directly lay my parquet on the polyurethane panels and furnish my house, right? My floor is finished, there you go. I'm going to explain to you now how much it cost me and how much time it really took me without the assembly to do the whole house. Let's start with how much time this project took me. To start, my brother and I spent a day finding the right technique, testing things. Still, in a single day, we insulated the 2 bottom containers covering 58 square meters. Then, I took 3 additional days to insulate the 2 remaining containers, so the remaining 58 square meters. And above all, doing all the finishing touches, the tape, the little rods, the little eco graphite cans, all of that. It's a project that can be completed alone, but it's quicker and more fun with a partner. In total, it took me around 4 to 5 days to finish. If we really count, overall, all the time to think about solutions and also the time to go buy the materials. And speaking of buying it, we're going to see how much all this cost me. I got it for 230 euros for anti-creep veil, 60 euros for litho, 810 euros for equalization granules, 25 euros for mason's rules, 3,500 euros for 120 square meters of polyurethane panels, 50 euros for tape, and 30 euros for eco graphite beads, for a total of 4,705 euros. I announced a price, but that's not actually what I paid for various reasons. The first one is that I'm giving you a little tip. In hardware stores, you can often negotiate the price, ask your store to match the competition's prices. This allows you to search for the best price and then still buy it where you usually shop. It always allows you to get the best price. And the second thing is that often in stores, there are sales, there are loyalty cards that give you, for example, a day at minus 10%. So if you time it right, you match the prices with the competition, you have sales, you have 10% off the entire store. You combine all of this like I do. You're not going to pay 3,500 euros for polyurethane. You're going to pay more, like 2,500. You'll pay 600 euros for leveling granules, not 800 overall on everything I've bought for my work. I've always managed to get a minimum of 15 to 20% discount. So planning these projects in advance also allows for a budget that is more pleasant to look at. Now, you know how I insulated each side of this house? Polyurethane container on the ground, wood wool on the wall, or cellulose on the roof. Feel free to imitate me, to draw inspiration from what I've done, or to find other solutions more suited to your project. Before long, I will release a video, most likely where I will share my thermal study to show you how effective or not everything I have put in place is. We'll see that in a future video anyway. If you've learned something, if you find what we're doing is useful, share this video, subscribe, and if you can, support us financially on Typee or Utip to help us make future videos. That's it for now. Thank you for watching this video to the end. I'll see you in 2 weeks for a report on a straw earthwood house. So, a topic perhaps more ecological than what I shared today. See you soon. On the channel, it was Julien. Goodbye. Goodbye.